I don't have a set bias yet because my so how my strategy works is that with Monday and Friday, I rely on midnight open to tell me whether we are bullish, or to tell me whether we are bullish or bearish. But from Monday to Thursday, I rely on the quarter two weekly open, which is right here. I marked it out on all, you know, correlating futures assets. When I see it like this, like I see NQ like just slightly above it. I see ES slightly below it, YM slightly below it. It's not giving me like a clear indication of like, of the bias overall. So I'm just gonna wait until I see something like that's very obvious. But I still anchored on my STD, my standard deviation legs. This was on, I anchored this out on the 1 minute at the very start of this. How I use standard deviation is I see the start of a manipulation leg or market maker structure, and if I'm willing to bet that the price would reverse, I would place it from the bottom to the top at the bottom point. If I'm betting that it would go down and then reverse, so like bullish, I'll go to the top and then I'm put it in the bottom like that. But the standard deviation leg is like also unclear as well because I don't know the bias. So it's gonna be one of those days to where I'm gonna have to wait for an SSMT before looking into the standard deviation, and I'll be using standard deviation as sort of more of as a confluence rather than a set standard. However, I do see that we are in a higher time from SSMT between YM, as you can see, is right here. YM has yet to sweep these lows, and like again from my last video, I don't necessarily really use YM for SSMTs. However, if it's like higher time frame, I would be using that. Like if it's higher time frame, it's a pretty strong confluence. Because no matter like how like uncorrelated or fake, like sometimes the SMTs might be, if I see something that's really obvious such as this, that's a good clue. So we're maybe bullish, but I want more confidence in that. I mean, one could argue that like, two assets are below your Q2 weekly open. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but it also only takes like one asset to be just slightly above it to reverse it. I'd rather have the entire thing just be confirmed. NYC just open and price is shooting way the fuck up. Alright. So this will determine the overall answer. Let's see how this would close. Place this on 5 minute. I forgot to mention I also use YM for like key open confirmation. The YM as the asset, I kind of use it more so as confirmation when I entry, or for my bias. ES and NQ is like what I just usually rely on the most. Alright, so we are very, very uncorrelated today. We are sweeping out all of this shit. ES barely moved an inch. YM was all the way at the top. I'm just gonna let price tell its story. One thing I learned about piecing this model together is that no matter trade time first, man. No matter how good the candlesticks look, you can always be manipulated. Like there's times to where I see a perfect IFEG entry, but it wasn't aligned with time, and I got stopped out. Just no matter how good and sexy the candles look, don't trade it if it doesn't align with your time. NQ is trading into this. If we can take out this low, that could create a 90-minute sequential SSMT. Why did I say sequential SSMT? It just says SSMT. That could be a good confluence to enter. Since now NQ is below. My only issue that I personally see is that YM is kind of doing its own thing. I mean, YM usually does its own thing, which is why I don't pay necessarily attention to it. But there are times to where I lose, and then YM like finishes its move like 5 minutes afterwards. YM, like, if you see an SSMT between NQ and YM, just know that YM would be delayed on that. So if this is, I'm gonna wait for more entry confirmation. Yeah, we're just straight up fucking dumping. It could be possibly, if this momentum keeps continuing, and if we breach past these levels that I marked using the the USE, this flip tool that I made that can anchor out the measurements of the SMT. One thing that I learned is that you have to freaking, like, if it's pulling, if it's pushing through like that, like with such force, like, it's a bit of a liability to bottom or top tick that. Like, especially, like, yeah, it could be, 90-minute sequential SSMT like this, but at the same time, you can want to wait for a better high time from SSMT, more obvious, such as, London low right here. How I confirm whether an SSMT is, alright, literally I was about to say, alright, I'm gonna, hold on, now I'm gonna update mine. Alright, I'm gonna attempt to bottom and top tick. I'm gonna attempt to bottom tick. So now that I know that I am looking for a bullish reversal, let me see if I can find a. Yeah, we're like all below now, but YM is kind of like just bouncing up and down off of it though. Pause. Didn't make it sound weird. Anyways, as I was saying, it could probably be like right here, the standard deviation, like. Anyways, before I keep interrupting myself, the way how you can confirm an SSMT for me is that if you're using a micro SMT, micro sequential SSMT, I need to stop saying that. Micro SSMT, use the 1-minute TCISD, and then for the 90-minute, use a 5-minute. For a daily, you would want to use a 15 or 10-minute. It kind of goes hand in hand. Then weekly, I would say 15-minute also works well. I haven't seen an issue using the 15-minute for the weekly yet, surprisingly, after my back testing and stuff. I think there was like one time where like I needed to, like, in order to confirm that CISD was real, is 30-minute, but I'm a scalper. What the fuck am I doing? Alright, now we have our standard deviation and our ultimate. Wait, what the fuck? Why are we still here? I want to mark out if there's any PD arrays that align with this. Okay, there's a 1 hour unfulfilled. I mean, it was barely tapped. Pause. That's like sitting right here. It's 4 hour. Yeah, we're still in a 4 hour bullish PD array. How about, okay, not a 6, not a daily. So we got this 4 hour for like alright, that's good. I'm confident in that. I'm confident. Anyways, I am preparing to enter. I'm gonna attempt to bottom tick. I'm gonna attempt to bottom tick. Since like -2 is like really close to like -0.2, I'm gonna have my fade like around that level, a very precise level. However, if we do see like a reaction off of -0.1 and or -0.5, and I see like a TCISD, I'm willing to take out the trade, even if it means a worse risk to reward ratio. Sometimes like a 1-2 or 1-3 is all you need. All right, I am preparing bottom and top tick right. I keep not playing these games, bro. See, the thing is, like, this is a very obvious sequential sequential SMT. But the thing is, like, the only flaw that I see in this is that previous daily low has not been swept for NQ, but it has been swept for YM. Other than that, I like to see this setup as an A setup. We have multiple key opens we can target. If I'm in, I'd target NYC and daily open. Midnight is like a little bit of a stretch. I'll probably like take partials there. Alright, let's see how a TCISD works. Is that this is the leg, like this 5 minute is the last down close candle. If I see that it was closed above using 5 minutes, then I will be willing to enter. There have been times to where price literally looks like this and then just comes crashing down and then taps like the lower modules. So I'm just gonna simply wait. We also have news at 10. Job openings. Can't say that word. Might have offended some of you. Bro, stop playing these games, bro. Stop playing these games, bro. The only flaw about the TCISD is that, like, sometimes, like, a candle would close, like, all the way over there. I mean, like I said, it was okay to have a slightly worse risk to reward ratio than, you know, than what you can bottom and top tick. But the thing is, like, if you see something like that, and it doesn't really happen as often, but when it happens, simply trade into an order block or a fair value gap, or use OTE. Alright, I don't think it's going to be closing above. Looking at the 1 minute time, here's what the 1 minute time frame looks like on over here. As soon as price gets down to negative 0.2, which is also, you know, -2 off standard deviation, I'd enter. Oh, now I'm seeing different shits. Oh my god. That shit's climbing. Fuck, holy shit. Holy shit, bro. What the hell? We got 40 seconds left. That determines my... Alright, I'm assuming that I missed out on the bottom tick entry, but that's alright. Alright, now I just have to find a little bit of a retracement. Alright. Six, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, I'm in. I know a bunch of people would be taking this shit into IFVG entry as well. Alright, I am in this trade. I placed my stops below the second fair value gap that formed. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set 24/8/17. So the final target would be this high, which is like around midnight open. But I'm gonna take profits right at daily open, like take partials. Always important to take some partials. 24/8/17. Place down limit seller by 3. Alright, cool. So here, this is what it looks like as of right now. Now we just gotta wait. Not looking good for us at all. I got stopped out, per usual. Alright, re-entered on that deep retracement. I didn't think that price would retrace that deep, but we're gonna see. Daily 817. Pretty right. Alright, that's a losing day for me. I'll post this trade recap. Give me 1 second. Guys, so obviously I already reached my daily loss limit and my daily trade limit on my other funded account, but on this other one I finally caught the move, and after looking into it, give me 1 second. Alright, so after looking into it, I'm still learning how to use my own model on things. Like, again, I've passed multiple accounts just using my own model, and but I have yet to get consistent payouts with this. So I still learn how to use it like every single trading day. So I decided that if you are ever stopped, like if you ever get stopped out at TCISD, the confirmation for the SSMT, then you can only re-enter if it trades back into a lower part of the ultimate sniper entry, aka USE, which literally right happened here. Literally, my original analysis was straight up correct. So now I'm implementing the rule for future trading videos. I know you guys are probably gonna make fun of me and blah blah blah, but I'm just holding myself accountable here. I entered like at the mid, like this small retrace, like right here. I got stopped, and it traded back deeper here, actually reaching negative 2.5. And yeah, you can only re-enter if it, goes down to a deeper level. I think that would save a lot more capital for me next time. Another mistake that I did was that I should have de-risked. I should have de-risked by 1 micro. I realized that too late. It stops the break even here. I realized that too late, however. And when I realized that too late, I I freaking had to adjust my daily loss limit to 250 to negative 300. I still took the L, but that's completely fine. It happens. So here we are, just recording this part of the trade. You know, with bottom and top taking, like a lot of people that say, "Oh, you have a negative," like they have a 20% win rate, 30% win rate. Like, it really depends. Like, if you start to top and bottom tick, at first, you will have that kind of win rate percentage. But like from how I top ticked with like my own model, like each time I kept using it, the more that my win rate percentages kept going up. Like before, it was really low, but now it's like high. I would say it's like 50%. Technically it'd be like 70% because sometimes like I get stopped for break even, but it depends whether you count that as a loss or not. Alright, that's partials out. Dope. By the way, if anyone's wondering like why I'm not copy trading, I wanted to take it slowly, just one account at a time. Like prove to myself that I can get consistent payouts on one account, and then I can start to scale. Because I feel like one mistake that I kept making was just buying multiple accounts at the same time when I haven't even proven to myself that I can get consistent payouts on just one. And for those who would make fun of me saying like, "Oh, you're just revenge trading because you still re-entered on a losing trade on a different funded account after your daily loss limit and daily trade limit was hit." You may like have a point, but then again, I'm not trying to justify like my actions, but I'm still learning how to use this model as time goes. And if I see a very obvious setup, like I just like today, and I'm implementing new rules on the strategy, obviously I want to test it out, so I might as well just test it out. I mean, it's another funded account, no big deal. It's alpha features. I can just bada bing, bada boom. However, if I am in an emotional state and it's not necessarily like really obvious, and I'm just forcing it, like marrying my bias, like I've seen this setup like 1,000 fucking times, then that would be like straight up revenge trading. Alright, we have an SSMT. We have a sequential SMT between NQ and ES. So, just drag a little bit higher. For those like who are like in a trade right now, that'd be like a good exit confluence, so to speak. Whether you're bullish or bearish today, man, both of y'all niggas eat. Both fucking biases got to eat today. Crazy. Place the low here. If I get stopped, I get stopped. And what I mean by this, the sequential SMT is that I saw ES was above weekly Q2 open. YM is still above weekly Q2 open. This was between a 90-minute cycle and it's between Q2 and Q3. However, the only reason why I'm still holding is because the SMT that I traded off of is on a daily one, a higher time frame than that. So I'm just gonna see how it simply reacts to that. $20 seconds until I can hold out. What I can see it doing is probably just gonna take me out and then just like proceed to move higher, which I don't necessarily mind. I already made my bread for the day. Type shit. Alright, we should see a flush of like a flush reaction. No. Whether I get stopped out or whether it goes on. Alright, looks like I'm gonna get stopped out. This is the edge of the century, bro. Alright, cool. Now I'm actually done for the day, like for real.